Welcome everyone. Uh, Welcome to the 2022 presentation session. And I have to say it's great to see you all here again. We've been under COVID situation for 2 years and we've only organized this through online activities only. So it's great to see people in the room once again. A symposium this year, in case you don't know, we have a hybrid session, which means all of you will be with us here for one week, and then we have audience from online as well. Okay. For this presentation, each speaker will have a chance about 20 to 25 minutes to discuss, and then afterward we'll have a few minutes for Q&A session. So let's start. The first present speaker is Assistant Professor Dr. Chanyapong Thongsawang. He is actually our own PGVIM faculty here. He specialized in early keyboard performance, but he's also interested in historical research in classical music in Thailand. So this morning, he will present an intriguing story of music accompanying the play, written just around the end of Second World War, in the paper titled Sorn-Prasidh-Ladda Silapabanleng, Phakavali Theatrical Song. So please welcome Ajahn Chanyapong Thongsawang.
สวัสดีครับ Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for an opportunity to present today about Ajahn Prasidh Silapabanleng, Thai national artist. Ajahn Prasidh Silapabanleng, a prominent Thai composer and national artist in 1988, was trained from his childhood in traditional Thai music by his father, Luang Praditpairoh, Sorn Silapabanleng, a legendary master of Thai music. He continued to study compositions at the Tokyo Academy of Music, Japan, between 1935 to 1937, under the supervision of German professor Klaus Prince Hahn, who was an assistant of Gustav Mahler in Vienna. After his work as the conductor and composer at the Western music divisions of the Fine Arts Department, the Royal Thai government, and his service in the Thai Army as interpreter liaison officer during the Second World War. Prasidh Silapabanleng, together with his wife, Ladda Saratayon Silapabanleng, his elder sister, Damachin Silapabanleng, and his father, Luang Praditpairoh, formed a company to stage theatrical plays and later established in their house the Phakavali Institute of Dance and Music to teach and perform Thai classical music and folk dances for foreign tourists. Sponsored by non-profit overseas foundations, the Phakavali dance troupe traveled to perform on international stage in Europe, Japan, and the USA, including one performance at the United Nations headquarters on Human Rights Day. Prasidh Silapabanleng composed theatrical plays in the fruitful period between 1946 to 1951 with his wife, Ladda, for the Phakavali theatrical troupe, which include singers, dancers, and around 14 musicians with Western instruments, 2 first violins, second violin, viola, cello, double bass, flute, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and drum set. The Phakavali troupe produced 15 plays in total and provide a great opportunity for stage performers who later became famous actors such as Saw Asana Jinda, Savali Phakapan, and Chusi Mi Sommon. Phakavali is the first musical play conducted by the Silapabanleng family. Prasidh Silapabanleng composed airs for voices with chamber orchestra, whereas his father Luang Praditpairoh led the Thai traditional ensemble in the show. The libretto, consisting of 6 scenes, was written by Sangthong, Arun Boonyamanop. The play presumably premiered in 1945 with great success, followed by the second performance probably in May 1946 presided over by His Majesty King Ananda Mahidol, Ancient King Rama VIII, and his younger brother, Prince Bhumibol Adulyadej, later His Majesty King Rama IX. Chord Chandryang acted as the main role of Prince Stanonda, whereas Anong Naksawat played the principal female role of goddess Phakavali. The other three goddesses were performed by Chusi Misommon, Somsi, Sontirat, and Sai Sawat, unknown surname, while Mayuri Charan played Lord Indra. Phakavali is the name of the youngest goddess of the four. The story, based on Hindu mythology, depicts a lovelorn relationship between the goddess Phakavali and Prince Stanonda. Their love is troubled by the Lord Indra and Princess Chitawat of the city of Traitung, which through love, conditional commitment, and jealousy, the story ends in tragedy as both goddess and the prince die in an inferno. The play created by Silapabanleng family are valuable artistic works depicting social aspects of that period and cultural heritage. The music of the play Phakavali includes both Thai traditional music, for instance, Prathom Dusit, Talumpong, Vesukam, and Song Phra Damneun in the second act, and compositions combining the unique characteristics of Thai music with Western harmony. The latter consists of 5 airs, which were analyzed and transcribed for voice and piano, as well as a violin and clarinet, to perform in the online concert entitled Sorn-Prasidh-Ladda Silapabanleng Phakavali Theatrical Songs, recorded at Sankita Vadhana Hall, Princess Galyani Vadhana Institute of Music on 4th April this year and premiere on 14th of May. Documents, letters, correspondence, music score, audio recordings, original scripts of the plays, books, literature, photos, and other evidence of Prasidh Silapabanleng's life and works are collected by his eldest son, Associate Professor Dr. Sorn Silapabanleng, and preserved at the Sorn-Prasidh Music Museum by Sorn, located on Sukhumvit Road, Soy 24, Soy 24 in Bangkok. These documents are also published online in the Prasidh Silapabanleng archives and deliberately researched, especially focusing on theatrical plays. A German book, Klaus Prince Hahn aus Tokio, zur Geschichte eines musikalischen Kulturtransfers by Dr. Ralf Eisinger, provides information about Klaus Prince Hahn's visit to Thailand between 1937 to 39. His work at the Department of Fine Arts under the director Luang Vijitwatakarn, and his arrangement of Siamese music, for instance, Siamese Melodies Suite for violin and piano opus 37, arrangement of 4 songs by Luang Vijitwatakarn. Just a Dream ความฝัน Take My Flower เชิญชมดอกไม้ Prayer วิญญาณแสนหวี Far Away คิดถึงแต่ไกล The Moon ดวงจันทร์ This music score, together with other compositions by Klaus Prince Hahn and his correspondence with Prasidh Silapabanleng, are well preserved at the archives and research collections Klaus Prince Hahn funds in the McMaster University in Canada, which generously provide scanned document for me. By analyzing orchestral score created in PDF files with the CBLIS program by the Royal Thai Navy Orchestra and listening to audio recordings, the album named Sai Sampan of the song by Prasidh Silapabanleng, I found that the composer often wrote expressive pentatonic melody on Thai lyrics, accompanied by rich orchestral textures with a variety of harmonic progressions, influenced by late German Romantic composers such as Gustav Mahler, Richard Strauss, Richard Wagner, and his supervisor Klaus Prince Hahn. Prasidh Silapabanleng himself also arranged some songs into piano reductions. This is the museum archive. Prasidh Silapabanleng also arranged some song into piano reduction part. This is, and for instance, O Yod Dwang Chai from Kwam Phayabhat. He arranged like for the melody in the right hand and the left hand play a kind of chord accompaniment. Is for amateur pianist can play without problem. Yeah. By comparing the piano reduction score with the original, I found that the composer often notes a melody even though with a part of harmony for the right hand, whereas the left hand plays an accompanied part, which adapt the complex orchestral textures to be suitable for amateur pianists. As I have studied the art of arrangement and transcription from classical repertoire, as well as Lieder by Robert Schumann, Johannes Brahms, Richard Strauss, and Hugo Wolf, with guidance from Associate Professor Dr. Sorn Silapabanleng. I deliberately chose 12 airs. ลมหนาว เห็นใจสักครั้ง โอ้รัก โอ้เป็นหญิง เสียแรงรัก from Phakavali สายสัมพันธ์ ความสุข โฉมงามเวียงฟ้า รื่นระรวย และแขกสาหร่าย from เวียงฟ้า and โอ้ยอดดวงใจ from Vendetta or the Story of One Forgotten and หัวใจทรมาน from Pearl Necklace. To transcribe the original compositions for voices and orchestra into voice and piano by imitating orchestral part and effects with various pianist figurations and brilliant techniques. Sometimes octave notes in the upper and the lower register are added to create more resonance between the bass and the top voice. This is the photo from the online concert performance. I perform on a grand piano and a copy of Walter pianoforte together with distinguished Thai instruments and distinguished Thai musicians in an online concert entitled Sorn-Prasidh-Ladda Silapabanleng, Phakavali Theatrical song, to present these 12 arrangements as well as Richard Strauss, Im Abendrot, and Prince Ham arrangement of The Moon by Luang Praditpairoh, together with Thai musicians such as อาจารย์ใจรัตน์พิทักษ์เจริญ Dr. กรวิทย์เทพหัสดิน ณ อยุธยา อาจารย์สิทธิชัยเพ็งเจริญ ผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์พงศักดิ์อารยังกูล ดร. ตะวันรัตน์มีวงโคตร บาบาร่าซิโยน ดาวรัตนหงษ์ สุรพงษ์บ้านไกรทอง and artists to promote valuable theatrical songs by Prasidh Silapabanleng. The original script of the play Phakavali includes the complete story detail written in dialogues, narrative text, and a beautiful poems with notes on music performance and stage management. Here is the original script of the play Phakavali, first page. The story reflects social aspects, political issues, liberties, and restriction of women's rights of that period. For instance, in the first scenes, Prince Stanonda tries to explain to Phakavali about the dictatorship in heaven without freedom of speech. For example, a domination of the Lord Indra. Goddess Phakavali is, however, too innocent to understand it. By studying the orchestral score and the script of Phakavali, I analyzed the harmonic progressions and the selections of key signatures were compared to effective musical style, musical key characteristics described by a German poet, organist, composer, and journalist, Christian Friedrich Daniel Schubert, translated by Rita Stebin. These key descriptions were presumably introduced to Prasidh Silapabanleng by Professor Klaus Prince Hahn. I found that Prasidh Silapabanleng ingeniously chose key signatures of each song or part regarding the meaning of lyrics and create expressive music relating to the harmony, and dramaturgy. I transcribed 5 airs from Phakavali for voices and piano. Lom Nao, Winter Winds, lyrics by Prasidh Silapabanleng, the opening song of the first scenes. The second one, เห็นใจสักครั้ง Have a Heart Just Once, lyrics by Sangthong, Luang Boonyamanop, a flirting duet between Stanonda and Phakavali from the first scene. O Rak, O Love, lyrics by Saratayon, Silapabanleng, a love duet between the principals and at the end of the third scene. O Pen Ying, to be a woman, lyrics by Sorn Silapabanleng, a love denied duet between Princess Jitawat and Prince Stanonda in the fourth scene. And the last one, Sia Rang Rak, in love in vain, lyrics by Saratayon Silapabanleng, another love duet between the two main roles in the last scenes. Furthermore, I collaborate with Pong Sangthong to translate the original lyrics into English for singing these 5 airs. The first song, Lom Nao, is the opening song of the first scene, depicting 4 goddesses flying from heaven into the earth to swim and dance with joy in the Ananda pond. This song reappears again at the beginning of the last scene. In the manuscript of the play, it is noted that Phakavali sang the first part, followed by Stanonda in the second. With the approval of Prasided and Ladda Silapabanleng, this song was, however, sung by Dr. Goravit Tep Hasadin Ayutthaya, a baritone solo, in the audio recordings album Sai Sampan, performed by the Latvian National Symphony Orchestra under the baton of Tere Mikkelsen. This air, written in Allegro Leggerissimo, begin in C minor, with an agitated introduction of the Destiny Arpeggio here. The Destiny Arpeggios in triplet 4 times, illustrating 4 goddesses flying down to human cities, followed by the main theme with dancing rhythms, tempo di waltz, as you can see from bar 7, the waltz rhythm in the left hand. Pum, 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 pum. Depicting the dance character of the angels in the unknown bath. In these sections, there are modulation between C minor and C major, depicting the prince, declaration of love, and at the same time, the lament of unhappy love, and the angelic character of innocence, simplicity, and naivety, as defined by Christian Friedrich Daniel Schubert. The original orchestration for voices, 2 flutes, 2 clarinets in B flat, 2 trumpets in B flat, and 2 trombones is transcribed for voice and piano. The second song, เห็นใจสักครั้ง Have a Heart Just Once, is a love duet between the 2 main roles when Stanonda tries to flirt with Phakavali in the first scene. It is written in a tempo moderato in B flat major. In the first part, when Prince Stanonda sings with cheerful love, the second part, sung by the goddess Phakavali, is modulated to C major, a completely pure key. In the transition to the second verse, the composer shows C minor as Stanonda faced difficulties to win an angelic heart, as she belonged to Lord Indra. Phakavali is wife of Lord Indra, and both of them need to go to the heaven to ask Lord Indra for permission for them to marry. And Lord Indra was very angry and cursed both of them to the human city. And then there has some problems after that. O Rak, O Love is a love duet of the 2 main roles at the end of the third scene. In twilight, Stanonda woke up from his stupor while hearing the morning of Phakavali, because Stannon was hitting by the flashlight of Indra and then fall down to human city and fall asleep. When he woke up, he tried to find Phakavali, and finally he heard Phakavali singing, and he remembered this voice, and he went to the temple and found Phakavali, who was cursed by Lord Indra and resided there. During the day, her lower body of Phakavali will become half stone, and at night she will become a full human being and can walk. But at the daytime, she needs to stay in the temple with half stone in the lower part. Stannon commiserated with Phakavali's misfortune, promised to love her till his last breath, and sang an internal love duet with her. O Rak, originally composed for soprano, baritone, flute, clarinet in B flat, trumpet in B flat, trombone, timpani, and strings, is transcribed for soprano, baritone, clarinet, taking the original part because clarinet play the main melodies. Bum, 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 bum. The main melody is from the bar 4. Da, 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 da. It states this song is written in a slow lyrical movement, largo cantabile, in a recitative style. It starts with a short 3-bar melodic introductions by flute in F major, representing complaisance and calm, as defined by Schubert. When the two found each other again, then a clarinet played the main melody in F minor, recalling groans of misery, defined by Schubert, that both were punished by the Lord Indra. This repeated melody was originally accompanied by low-pitched timpani roll, replaced by an octave tremolo in a piano left hand, and ends with an F major chord, followed by narrative dialogue between Phakavali and Stannon in F major from the last line in the first page. And in the right side is the last page. You can see that later the main melody is presented by a clarinet in F minor, and at the end, Stannon the Prince sing this melody. O your Jiwan, O your Jiwan, Kwan Jiwa, O your Teptida, Phakavali, 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 and repeat 3 times Phakavali names at the end. And this piece ends in F major chord. So it's a modulation between F major and F minor to depict like the black part and the white part of the story. The next one, O Pen Jing, a duet between Prince Chitawat and Prince Stannon in the 4th scenes. In the royal palace of the city of Traitrung, Princess Chitawat was satisfied with Stannon after his fight in the tournament, and openly expressed her affections to Prince Stannon, because Stannon and Phakavali is in poverty. They don't have money, and Phakavali gave her rings, which she received from Lord Indra, to Stannon, and Stannon tried to sell these rings to get money, because this is very, very valuable rings, and Stannon could sell it and come to this Traitung city that Princess Chitawat is like the princess there. And he was seeing someone is going to be killed during the tournament. It's like a fighting competitions, and Stannon tried to protect him, and then he need to fight in the battles. And Princess Chitawat, who haven't fallen in love to anybody, was very satisfied with Stannon, and she tried everything to win Stannon's heart, but he refused because he has his wife, Goddess Phakavali. So there is a trouble comes. Yeah. So Chitawat would like to let go of the love in her heart, but had to control herself because she was afraid of being seen as if she were pursuing a partner shamelessly. This is also about the woman rights at that time also, and the feelings and the limitation of women feelings at that time, that she cannot openly express her feelings to a guy that she liked. When Stanonda declared his right to be free to do right or wrong, following his heart and destiny, this would have karmic result for both sides. She then detained him and threatened Stanonda that if he did not marry her, she would kill him. Finally, Stanonda had to surrender and married to Princess Chitawat. After searching throughout the archive with the help of Dr. Sorn Silapabanleng, I could find only the melody notes with relics of this song, Open Ying, written in a very slow tempo largo in a key signature with an indication of two sharps, so it can be D major or B minor. It was published in 1951 in the song collection notebook of Prasidh Silapabanleng ชุมนุมเพลงของอาจารย์ประสิทธิ์ศิลปะบรรเลงชื่อหนังสือนะครับ and later reprint in the memorial books of อาจารย์ประสิทธิ์ศิลปะบรรเลงหนังสืองานศพ as the original score is lost, I have to compose the accompanying part for piano in D major with modulations to B minor, the key of patience, of calm awaiting one's fate, and of submission to divine dispensation, defined by Schubert, to fulfill the melodic line and lyrical expressions. The added first 6-bar introduction in D major represents the glory of Princess Chitawat of Traitrung with the pentatonic florid embellishment. Okay. Next song, Sia Lang Rak, is the last one. Is a love song between the main roles in the 6 scenes when Stanonda sneaked away to meet Phakavali at Dutch in the temple. Stanonda explained all that happened with Chitawat. Phakavali was really upset. Stanonda, however, persuaded her to acknowledge his sincerity that he left this country and he did not care of the throne, but needed to marry Chitawat because he wanted to survive to be able to meet Phakavali again. Because of her love and concern, Phakavali understood and forgave him to show Stanonda's willingness to please Phakavali from his guilt. This song is written in F major, a complacent keys, and is indicated sostenuto cantabile with some flexible tempo rubato to show a singer to express a deep emotions. Okay, now come to the conclusions. Thai theater has long been considered a significant form of entertainment, providing pleasures and amusement for the people of the capital, Bangkok. Additionally, it has laid the foundation for knowledge of the music and performing arts, which has continually grown through times. It has furthermore reflected the values and social conditions of its time. In this regard, one must consider the very important roles played by Luang Praditpairoh, Prasidh Silapabanleng, and Ladda Silapabanleng in shaping the music, compositions, and dance of Thailand. Their work was an important contribution which arose before the advent of foreign film cinema, in the latter of which changed the values of audience from attending live theater to watching films, until the theater troupe Phakavali was finally compelled to come to an end. Maybe in this era, it can change from live concert to online concert. The online concert, Sorn-Prasidh Silapabanleng, Phakavali theater songs, carry on these valuable Thai musical and vocal works of Prasidh Silapabanleng. who together with his wife and his father jointly create and direct theatrical performance, compose music, wrote lyrics, and conduct both Thai and Western music ensemble. Furthermore, they compiled and further developed traditional Thai songs to enrich their artists, their aesthetic and inspirational values for society. The diverse and unbalanced work of the Silapabanleng family has value not only for our knowledge, but also for the relationship between Thai music of highest values and Western music. Such a beautiful combinations resulting in Thai songs with the special characteristic identity worthy of international esteem. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ajahn Chanyapong. Now I think we have a few minutes left for the audience in case that you have a question to ask Ajahn Chanyapong regarding the music accompanying the play. If not, I have some kind of more or less a personal interest in this one. I had a chance to listen to the music, and to me, it's always surprised that in the old day, in the old time, a Thai composer has such a wonderful music education to the point that they can write in the real late 19th century style. Can you explain a bit, give the background, how can this be possible at that old time? Thank you.
I think because Ajahn Prasidh studied with Professor Prince Ham in Tokyo, and of course Prince Ham was influenced by Mahler and Richard Strauss, and of course he taught Ajahn Prasidh about late German romantic styles and the compositional technique that we can see that in Ajahn Prasidh's song we can hear somehow like maybe like Wagner overtures or even Richard Strauss orchestration. So this is great for Thai musicians that could learn this directly from the great professors, and he bring back to Bangkok. And also his father, Luang Praditpairoh, I think he was one of the most important guru for Thai traditional music, that he tried to develop Thai traditional instrument and Thai traditional ensemble further, because it's not only conservative way, but he tried to show a new ways or new aspect of Thai traditional music. And Ajahn Prasidh also arranged Thai traditional songs with Western harmony. Is not just only dominant subdominant chord, but he tried to mix with some special harmonies, which sometimes is difficult to analyze as a usual theory. we can later see how the next presenter will arrange into jazz chords. So I'm sure that it's very interesting and challenging. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. So hopefully we'll hear more from you again about this wonderful music. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Vadhana, and it's a great honor to be here. And I also would like to thank you, Dr. Chanyapong, for introducing this amazing international conference to me. So today I'll be talking about some techniques that I use to do some reharmonization with Prasidh Silapabanleng's tunes. So the reason why I choose to do the reharmonization with his music is because I really enjoy listening to his album, especially for Phakavali. And there are many versions. There are actually many versions that we can listen to his music. For example, we also have orchestral version performed by Latvian orchestra, and we also have Dr. Chanyapong's chamber arrangement. And this one, the Phakavali, Tamnan Lakhon Veti Hong Thai. This is like a history of Phakavali. And so when I listen to the Latvian version, I really want to play them or want to find a sheet music. So I went to Prasidh Silapabanleng's archive and I find these two books called Chumnum Peng Part 1 and Chumnum Peng Part 2, and which the score is a handwriting score and noted with, as we can see, like the beaming is like for vocalists but not for musician, and we have no chord names. So I decided to renotate this one as a lead sheet, and I also add some chords into this one too. So before we get started, most of the technique that I use in this one is not completely jazz technique. It's like a mixture of traditional harmonies with also some thought in jazz harmony too. Okay, so this is the lead sheet. So most of the time when we use lead sheets, jazz musician and pop musician usually use this one when they have to play some music. Okay, so what is lead sheet? Lead sheet is like this. So we have only one staff and we provide some melody, we have some chord names, we have some lyrics, or we also have some tempo marking or style of music and also some composer name or some other information. And the great thing is that all the musician, whatever you play, for example, if you are a bass player or you are a drummer, when you look at the lead sheet, you will see the melodies and lyrics too. So this one is great because we also have like many flexibilities to do the stuff. Like maybe we can have like different voicing in each chord, and we can change the style of music too. So today I will give you 7 techniques that I use in this project. So the first one is called extended chord or tension. So as we know, mostly in traditional harmony, we always use like, okay. Most of the time we use tertian harmony. As we know, the harmony we stack third and third and third and beyond. So I will show you some example of these major chord sounds. Okay. So as we can see, this is just a normal C major chord. But once we add more note, like we add 7, we add 9, we add sharp 11, or we add some 13s. As we can see, we will have more choice of tension and more colors to choose. And it doesn't necessarily that we have to play in this form. Sometimes we can also do this one, this particular one, in this way too. So this means you can switch around, or we can cut some note if you feel like you need to. And the second one is the extension chord for dominant 7 chord. Normally dominant 7 we will have 1, 3, 5 and flat 7. But this one is quite fun for me because we have a lot of choice to use in dominant 7 chord. For example, this is a normal C7 chord. We can also have 9. We also have sharp 11, or we have 13, or even we can also do like flat 9 chord, flat 9, flat 13, or in jazz sometimes we call this one as C7 altered chord, and C7 flat 9, 13, or even we can put all the stuff together like 2. So normally the dominant 7 chord is like the chord that we send into some new place. For example, C7 normally we send to, the direction goes to F major or F minor chords. So this one, C7, C7, 9, usually send to F major chord. But when we see the flat 9 or flat 9, flat 13, this one tend to send the sound into F minor chord. Okay, so we can have more choice to choose. And also with minor chords, we also have normal C minor, minor 7, minor major 7, minor 9, minor 11, and also like minor 13, or we can call this one as minor 6 too. So yeah, like all the chords that we did so far, we can switch all the notes around. Same concept with the diminished chord. We have diminished triad, half diminished 7, full diminished 7, or half diminished 7, but we also add the 9. Or we can even add more stuff like 2. This is like, you can do some experiment with this one with some tension. Okay, so this is the first technique that we can use to make anything sounds more jazzy or to add more color in any style of music. Okay, the second technique I use is called slash chord, or in classical, we always call this one as inversion, like in traditional harmony. So for example, the first one, we got C and G on D, followed by C on E. So I will play for you. As we can see, the chord C, G, and C is like 1, 5, and 1. But when we do the inversion, this will make the bass line have a stepwise motion in the ascending motion. Opposite way with the second example, we can have the second one is like we try to control the bass at the descending motion in the step. Or we can also make the slash chord to make the bass like stay the same. Or this one we can call as pedal point. So as we can see, we got the bass as C, C, and C, right? So we will have even more choice just by changing the inversion or changing the bass note of the chord. And the third technique that I use today is called the chord substitution. So the chord substitution is like, okay, we have 4 examples for you. The first 3 examples is like the traditional harmony, but the last one we will have 2 ways of approaching it. So normally the chord 1 and chord 6, we can use, like we can sub with each other, or sometimes we can use chord 3 too. Because this 3 chord has some kind of similar notes into it. Also with the second chord and the 4th chord of the key, like D minor or F major of C major, we can switch between both of them too. And 5, 7 chord with some 7 diminished chord too. But the last one, the 5, 7 chord, we can also use with flat 2 dominant 7. For example, if we are in the key of C major, normally the chord 5, 7 is G7. We can also use D flat 7 instead of G7 too. This one has 2 ways of thinking. In jazz, this one works because in G7 chord, we have B and F as a third and flat 7 of the chord. And in another way, D flat 7, we got F and C flat, which is actually B, which is actually the same thing. So as we can see, both of them shares a common note with third and flat 7. So we can use switch with each other. But in classical harmony, we call this one as Neapolitan chord, or as we know, N6. Yeah, but normally in classical harmony or traditional harmony, I mean, N6 normally followed by 5, 7 chord and followed by 1 chord, right? But in this case, when jazz musicians use tritone substitution, we normally just use flat 7 chord instead of 5, 7 and followed by 1 chord. So this is a tiny bit different of how we approach it. Okay, I will show you. Like in classical, maybe you hear something like. But in jazz, we will just D flat 7 and followed by C major. This is a tiny bit different for this one. Okay, and the fourth technique, this is a very simple one, and I think everyone will be familiar with diatonic chords. Actually, you can do like many experiments just by changing the chord within the diatonic keys, and this will give like a different sound, but it doesn't feel like out of key at all. But the fifth technique that I use in this project is like the more options for dominant 7 chord. This is very fun because like we see in the extended chord, the dominant 7 chord, we have like tons of choices we can use. So in this case, the first one is the chord extension, like what we do before, like the C7, we have like tons of possibilities, sharp even, fat 9, fat 13, sharp even, or we can even add more tension into chord. This is the first one of the dominant 7. And the second technique is we can also change the normal dominant 7 chord into like dominant 7 sus4 chord. Okay, so for example, the C7 sus4, normally we will have C, F, and B flat. Or sometimes we can also add 9 into it. This will create a tense because normally in the dominant 7 chord, we don't tend to have like the fourth scale degree into the chord. So when we add this one, it will make the sounds like, oh, where will it go? Like we will try to follow the direction of the chord more. So we can also change the chord into dominant 7 sus4 if the melody is not in the third of the chord. That's the most important thing. Okay, the third one, instead of just using the 5 dominant 7 chord, we can also use 2, 5 instead of only 5. Okay, for example, if we have in the key of C major and we have G7 chord, we can also change into D minor 7 and G7. So this will create more movement into the chord. Yeah, and like we know, we can also put some extension into each chord too, like. Okay, and the next one, the secondary dominant and the secondary leading tones. I think these two like form the classical traditional harmony. Like you are always familiar with this kind of sound too. D7, G7 followed by C major, or even F sharp diminished 7 or half diminished 7 followed by G7. This is a secondary leading tone chord. So yeah, feel free to try any stuff, and we can also use all of them, but we do with slash chord or with some different bass note. For example, what I do here is this one. I will play the slash chord from example. We got D7 on F sharp followed by G7, which make the bass line only half step ascending, followed by G7 over B to C major, which is also like only half step ascending too. Yeah, so you can try like all the experiment with this kind of dominant 7 chord. Okay, let's go to next one. Okay, this is like we know the borrow chord. Normally we borrow from parallel key in diatonic chord, but actually we can borrow from any modes or in any key. For example, this one, C major, but the A flat major is actually come from the diatonic chords from C minor, which is a parallel minor key, followed by F major. And actually in Ajahn Prasidh Silapabanleng's composition, he always have this kind of modulation or have this kind of progression chords in his music. As we already heard from Ajahn Chanyapong's example, sometimes he modulate from major key to minor key or minor key to major key in many pieces that he composed. So this is a technique that he really used a lot. And last one, the 7 technique. Okay, so this is just like a tiny bit of example. The main focus for the 7 technique is just to tell everyone that every bass note actually works with every top note. Like there are tons of possibilities. So I will show you some example. Okay, let me explain a tiny bit. So this one actually have the C as a bass. And this is the possibility of the major chords that's possible when the C is a bass. So if the top note is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4 or sharp 11, 5, sharp 5, 6 or 13 or 7, we can put the major chord into it. I will show you some example. as we can hear, the major chord of them sounds okay. I mean, we don't have really like something weird like. So these are the notes that will work for the top note and bass. Yeah, as we know before, the dominant 7 chord. Once again, we have the most choice ever. This is, yeah, as you can see, like all the notes work except B, because dominant 7 we need to have flat 7. So I will play you a tiny bit of the sound for the second line of this one. And same with minor chords. So I will play off them so we can go to some stuff. So yeah, so this is just a tiny bit of example. We haven't tried with the slash chord yet. So I will show you just a tiny bit of example of how this is possible. And yeah, so I will show you a tiny bit of thing. So I will try my top note to be chromatic scale and downward. And the bass note upward. But we will try to put the chords inside every single voicing. I will try. It's all works. So this is like the some tools that you can do some experiment, or maybe you can try to write down and try to find if this top note will work with this weight or not, or what should we put inside its voicing to make it works. Okay, so after we know of these 17, let's get into. Okay, so today I will talk just a tiny bit of 3 pieces. Okay, so the first one is called Sai Sampan. It's okay. So the lead sheet that I provide, the up one is the original chords, and the lower one is how I reharmonize. Okay, so as we can see, for the whole section in the original one, Ajahn Prasidh tried to make the bass stay only on the D as a drone, right? I will play for you. But the one I did, I start the first 3 chords as the same with the original one. But what I do is, as we can see, the B minor chord, that one is like the substitution chord that I do. So I use the 6 chord instead of 1 chord, followed by F sharp minor, which is a 3 chord instead of 1 chord. And we got E minor and G followed by A7/4, which is actually 2 and 5, followed by 1 chord. With the inversion of bass, as we can see, we have G, D, and G, A, and D. So the bass is in the stepwise motion. And the last time I used D on F sharp to change the sound of the chord. So I will play you the downward loop. So this one, I didn't change the sound that much, but just give more momentum or movement. Okay, so this is the second part of the piece. Okay, I skip into the D minor section. So the up one is the original one. As we can see, we have D minor chords for the whole section, and then we have the fourth chord, which is G minor and F, and then modulate back to D major. But what I do is I made the bass line as a descending motion, like D minor followed by D minor on C and B flat, and S7 sus4 flat 9, which is how I extend the dominant 7 into sus4 with some tension. And the downward most and the down second line, I have D on F sharp followed by G minor, which is actually just a secondary dominant. And we also have G sharp full diminished, which is actually just a secondary leading tone chord followed by A7. And I put some more chords to make the bass line in the ascending motion. Like I will play the bass line from the bar 62. So we have right. Okay, I will play for you the how I harmonize this one. And so on. Okay, and the second example is from Lom Now. So this one is, I use quite similar technique from the previous song. So as we can see, I try to make the bass goes up in the stepwise motion to make it sound smoother for my taste. I mean, this is like how I like, and same thing with the second line, but the second line I make the bass goes into step like descending motion. Yeah, and at the end, I mix 2-5-1 with some cadential 6-4 technique. Like we have D minor followed by C on G followed by G7. Actually, this one is just a G7 chord, but we can also use cadential 6-4 in this one. So I will play you some example of the lower one that I do the reharmonization. And so on. And next one is another part of this piece. So this one I also use some similar technique, but the one that I use on the bar 38 bar, I put the F on A just to change the color, because the original is like we are in C minor and we go to C major. So I choose to put the F on A in between to make it sound like we are shading the color to make it like from dark to bright color, and we just put some color in between. So I will compare just from bar 37. Okay, this is the original one. And this is how I put the F on A chord. So it's like we have some more sounds. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, this is the last song that I will give as an example. So in the first part of the song called Luck Tear, I didn't do much change. Okay, so as we can see, I just used some substitution chord there and there. And with some, but this one from at the bar 17, I use a G minor 6, which is actually the borrowed chord from the D minor scale. So this is like the 4 minor chord. Okay, so I will show you like how it sounds when the reharmonization is done. And so on. And the last part of the example that I will give is, this is one of my favorite part of this song. So the top one is the original one. It sounds like this. So as we can see, we have 2-5-1 of D major. But what I do is I try to change the color of the sound. So every time this melody is appear in the piece, I try to change the chord and change the color every time. So I will play you the second example and the third example there. And the last one. Okay, so this is the last example from this one. So if you have any question, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Varit. It's a very interesting approach to the harmonization of the old melody in the jazz idiom. Any of the audience has a specific question for this one? And then I have a specific question for you. It looks like, to me, it's amazing in that it's from just a simple formula, simple guideline that you gave earlier, the 7 approach, which seems in itself simple enough. When you combine together into the real harmonization, you get a result that is astonishing. So I would think that, would you agree that half of the success coming from the theory side of your approach, and the other half probably on the ear as well, the taste and the ear, as well as the theory? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, yes. So exactly, because I actually spent quite a lot of time playing the traditional 4-part harmony book, especially from the Japanese 4-part harmony book. And I think it's quite interesting because, especially for Prasidh Silapabanleng's work, because he studied at Galyani University in Tokyo, and I see kind of some connection between the book. But actually the book that I play is actually came after, like long time after, when Prasidh Silapabanleng's studying there. But yeah, it's very important. And another thing is that when we do the theory, or when I study theory, I really enjoy to try to play all of the stuff that I wrote to my teacher, or the example, like I really want to hear or get the sound. So it doesn't end by just writing it correctly, but we need to really play it, just the 4-part harmony, to understand the sound. Like, okay, if we use this one there, it's gonna sound like this or like that. And after doing this one, also practicing some extension chords. And when we combine both of them together, at first when I try to do this one, we will have something like, okay, I think I add too much stuff into the beginning part of the song, or I should do that one instead of this one. Just try to like do some more experiment. Yeah, but anyway, theory is like one of the most important stuff, because if we just play, we will not be able to hear all the stuff clearly. As we study the theory, we will hear more stuff like, okay, we know what is this, but yeah, because before I studied theory, there's a problem. I could not explain what I'm doing, but I know I want this sound, but I don't know how to communicate. So this is why theory is super important for this project. Thank you.
Thank you for the warning. It's really important with all the freshmen in the room. Any of you have additional question for him? If not, then I think we can hunt him down during the lunch break. Okay? And first lunch break, I'm not sure how long the line going to be, but both Ajahn Chanyapong and Ajahn Varit going to be there. So go ahead and ask him whatever you feel would like to. Okay? So thank you very much for today.
Thank
and before you leave, the staff warned me that in front of the room, there'll be a QR code. You can scan and then evaluate all the what happened on PGV. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again in the afternoon session. Bye-bye.